You could not ask for a better night for baseball here at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. The first of four, the Arizona Diamondbacks and the St. Louis Cardinals. Tough loss in many ways for the Cardinals. One-game suspension yesterday for Yadier Molina. Also losing the game to San Francisco. But the Cardinals have been bouncing back all season long after a loss. Best in baseball at 15-3. That's a look at our Toyota keys to the game. That's Al Rabowski, the Mad Hungarian. I'm Dan McLaughlin. Welcome to Cardinals baseball on your home of the Cardinals all summer long, Fox Sports Midwest. You want a matchup of two good teams? We have it here tonight. Cardinals' best record in baseball, the best record in the National League West. That's Arizona.
Yeah, they're a good ball club. Remember, they won 2 out of 3 in the first meeting of the year out in Arizona. They'd even have a bigger lead in the West if they didn't have some problem closing out some games. So this is going to be a good matchup, and we like to see it because Lance Lynn has a terrific record here at home. Lance Lynn getting the call for Mike Matheny's club. Live look at him and his warm-up tosses in preparation for tonight. Game 1 of 4, all 4 on Fox Sports Midwest.
And really, anytime he starts, he could be a difference maker. 42 career starts. The team wins, and they win a lot when Lance is on the mound. The record of 30-12, and the big right-hander gets the call tonight for the St. Louis Cardinals. And on the other side, you're talking about a guy that we have seen before pitching with Oakland, now with Arizona. That's Trevor Cahill. He's 3-5.
He's a ground ball pitcher, and he's a pretty good one. His record is better, or his pitching is better than his record may indicate. His ERA shows that. And what happens when a ground ball pitcher meets a low ball hitter?
Well, we've seen Matt Holliday step to the plate. You know he likes it low. That pitch down the middle, he crushed it. This is back when Cahill was with Oakland in an interleague series here at Busch Stadium. Not once, but twice. Holiday went deep, and here's really what you're talking about, Al. It was earlier this season in Arizona. How did that get out? It does. 3 for 9 against Trevor Cahill. Those 3 hits all have been the long ball variety. Matt Holliday struggling, but in the lineup tonight. And we'll talk about other players, and in particular hitters, that could be a difference maker this evening. The gateway to the West as the Cardinals play host to Arizona from way out west. 3 players to watch out for in this 4-game set. Let's tell you who they are. We'll start with Cardinals second baseman and leadoff man Matt Carpenter, riding an 11-game hitting streak, playing great defense as well. How about David Freese? 12-game hitting streak for St. Louis. In that time, 3 home runs, 13 RBIs, and pretty good numbers against Cahill, the starter tonight for Arizona. David also moving a lot better down at third. Meanwhile, Paul Goldschmidt, they've been expecting big things from him the last couple of years. He is now living up to that promise in the top 5 in home runs, RBIs, and average. Paul Goldschmidt in the lineup for Arizona. We're expecting a very nice crowd on this Monday night. The Diamondbacks and Cardinals, game 1 of 4 on Fox Sports Midwest.
This night for baseball. Jim Hayes with you as we get you set for Cardinals baseball right here on Fox Sports Midwest. The Cardinals and D-backs in the first of four. Before we get to the game, some news and notes to pass along. The Cardinals have named Colton Wong and Kevin Segrist their minor league player and pitcher of the month, respectively. Wong, the Cards' first-round selection in 2011, hit .375 with 4 homers for Memphis in the month of May. Segrist did not allow an earned run over 9 relief appearances, splitting time between Springfield and Memphis. Here at the stadium today, Chris Carpenter's comeback moving forward. After 2 good bullpens, Carpenter threw to batters this afternoon. He says he threw about 40 pitches and feels like things are moving along. Lance Lynn will get the start for the Cards tonight. Cardinals baseball coming up on Fox Sports Midwest.
West, brought to you by Budweiser, the official beer of Major League Baseball. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. See your Mid-America Chevy dealer or log on to stlchevy.com. Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers, #1 for quality tires and expert auto service. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. And by Steak and Shake. Steak and Shake, just no equal. Fans still filing in. A live look just outside of Busch Stadium. Very close to where Ballpark Village will be situated, just up the road. A lot of progress with that. And let's take a look at the lineup for Kirk Gibson and the Diamondbacks. Parra, Prado, and Goldschmidt, who's off to a tremendous start. Then Montero, Ross, Bloomquist, Gregorius, Pollock, and the pitcher Trevor Cahill, who's hitting .087. Our Kia starter, Lance Lynn, he's off to a great start as well, 7-1.
That's tied for 3rd in the National League. He's facing the Arizona team, 2nd time this season. He didn't get a decision in that team's 10-9, 16-inning loss on April the 3rd. That was the rubber game of the series, and the Cardinals, one of the very few series they have lost this year was to the Diamondbacks. That was the very first series of the year in the desert.
In that series, really odd because in those games it did not represent what the Cardinals have done all season long, which is pitch and also win.
And Lance, that was his few hiccups. As if I remember right, he only went 4 innings in that ball game and just was atypical of how well he's pitched. But this when he's at home, he's a winner.
Here is Parr to lead it off, and that's a strike, and we're underway. In that game in Arizona, Lance told me afterwards he really struggled gripping the baseball, the dry air of the desert, as Parr is off to a good start, hitting .311. As a team, the Diamondbacks hitting .265.
And Parra had a tremendous series against the Cardinals. A lot of extra base hits.
It's another breaking ball, and past the diving Matt Carpenter into center field. Cardinals have been very good defensively. As a matter of fact, yesterday against San Francisco, turned 4 double plays. Dobbs defense, and yes, Yadier Molina is in there tonight. Major League Baseball, just about the time we went on the air, handed down a 1-game suspension and fine for Molina after everything that took place yesterday. He has appealed that suspension, so he's allowed to play tonight, and in steps Martin Prado. One thing about the man at first, Parra, he's not afraid to at least attempt steals. He's been caught stealing 7 times, which is most in the National League, to go along with 5 steals.
Not the percentage you're looking for, but he does have good speed. Doesn't always translate into stealing bases. Otto, a very good hitter. That average probably down from where he'll end up. Usually see him hovering around the 300 mark.
Came over from the Atlanta Braves. If you're wondering, by the way, that suspension is based on making contact with umpire Mike Everett, not the helmet throw or smash of Yadier Molina from yesterday.
Well, the helmet throw or smash, that will warrant the ejection. But they're saying made contact with the second base umpire, who was just trying to keep him away from the first base umpire. You run a little bit of a risk when you do file the appeal.
And a swing and a miss on that high fastball, and a strikeout. That's 52 Ks for Lance Lynn. He's striking out at least 1 batter per inning.
Lance gets that ball up there in the zone. It gets a good hitter to chase a ball that more than likely would produce the swing and miss or a pop-up on the infield.
And Al, you're talking about a risk that you run as you get a look at Paul Goldschmidt back to Molina. His tremendous numbers, first baseman for Arizona, that when he is suspended and serves that 1 game, Tony Cruz then, you would assume, becomes your starter. There's a fastball. And then you'll have to use an emergency catcher. Even based on the suspension, you can't just bring somebody up for 1 game.
Well, and the problem the Cardinals have is they have no other catcher than Tony Cruz on the 40-man roster. So either you have to take somebody off to clear a minor league catcher to come up, but also meaning the fact too is once that appeal is made, and if they uphold the 1-game suspension, he has to serve it immediately, and we're getting close to going to Cincinnati.
0-2 is the count on Goldschmidt with 1 out.
It used to be all the appeals would take place in New York, but they do not do that anymore.
And there's a called 3rd strike from home plate umpire Jordan Baker.
One of the problems could be, as we take a look at the strikeout pitch, just a real good pitch down the way to catch enough of the black for the strikeout, is that Joe Torre at any time could institute that appeal process. And a lot of times, you know, now it's not necessarily taking place in the Major League Baseball offices in New York. It can be done by phone, or it could be done, as Ali Torre is from Cincinnati, and it wouldn't be unusual for Joe Torre to visit his wife's family, the hometown, and if that were to be heard in Cincinnati, then their response would be immediately either you lose the 1-game appeal or it would have to be exercised that night.
Here is Miguel Montero. So if that's the case, Al, I would think you'd side with caution, which would be if you're going to lose Molina, lose him against Arizona and not Cincinnati.
Well, and the other thing is, though, usually when you do appeal, you usually get a reduction. But most of the time, you're talking about a 2, 3,
sure,
multiple days, not just one.
0-2 the count. Montero, who's hit very well here at Busch Stadium in his career, .339 lifetime average. But overall this season, at 206, he has reached safely in 12 consecutive games. We know he's a good one.
Yeah, he is a very good offensive player, so it's shocking to see that 206 average.
Outfield deep and straight away as LYNN misses down and in. Arizona, as Mike Shannon was talking about in the pregame show, it's a team that is young and a team that's playing very good baseball, leading the National League West over Colorado and San Francisco at the start of play today by 2.5 games.
You got to love Kirk Gibson and the coaching staff that he has assembled.
I think probably right now could go out and suit up and win some games. The coaching staff.
The coaching staff is got a lot of wins between them. Very good all-star caliber, Gold Glove players. MVPs when you talk about Gibson and Baylor.
Steve Sachs, Don Baylor, Kirk Gibson,
Matt Williams.
Matt Williams, one of the best at third for a while.
Charles Nagy was a very good pitcher in his own right. Alan Trammell, another. You know, there's a lot of people believe that Alan Trammell should be in the Hall of Fame. Outstanding shortstop most of the time with Detroit. He and Whitaker came up as teenagers.
Here's a look at Matt Williams, what might have been for him in the summer of 1994 when baseball cut the season short. He was on pace to break the all-time home run record. 1-2 the count. Longtime Giant, with Arizona.
A lot of these players, you know, made their homes in the Arizona area, and then when their kids kind of got to the age to where they said, okay, now we can start coaching. Not our kids, but we can start coaching other kids.
It's a young team, but they have very good pitching and more pitching that is getting healthier by the day. Brandon McCarthy will miss tomorrow's start. He was supposed to be the Game 2 starter. He is out with injury, but they've got Ian Kennedy, Trevor Cahill, tonight's starter, Wade Miley, Patrick Corbin, who's off to a historic start. Cardinals will miss him, though, in this series.
J.J. Putz, the closer, is on the disabled list, and they're missing some very good infield. How about they played almost the entire year without Aaron Hill? Their projected center fielder has not played one game. That's Adam Eaton. And the old veteran Eric Chavez is on the shelf right now. He was a very, very big pickup with missing a lot of the infielders.
2 balls and 2 strikes. $14 strikes from Lance Lynn out of the 17 thus far. That's hit out of play. For Patrick Corbin, 11 starts, and when he starts, they win. The rest of the team is under 500. He's on pace, by the way, for 25 wins this year. There hasn't been a 25-game winner in baseball since Bob Welch back in 1990.
And talking with Kirk Gibson, he's very proud of his young left-hander, but saying he's still learning. He pitched yesterday, so we miss him.
Cardinals missed Matt Harvey in that 4-game series against the Mets a few weeks ago here in St. Louis, and they'll miss the top pitcher thus far for Arizona, Corbin, this 4-game series.
And hopefully we can miss Harvey again on the next road trip.
Cardinals have Cincinnati on the road this weekend. Then we're at New York and at Miami. Runner will take off with this pitch. 2 outs. Here's the 3-2. Lined and caught by the shortstop, Pete KOZMA, who timed it perfectly. A pair of strikeouts for LYNN here in the first, and there's no score. Sweatshirt improved to 8-3 over the weekend. No walks for the 7th time in his 12 starts so far this year. Carpenter, Beltran, and Holliday, followed by Craig, then Molina, Freeze, Jay, KOZMA, and LYNN. Cardinals, one of the best hitting teams collectively in all of baseball. Montero, very good defensively despite his struggles at the plate. Well, behind it, no errors this season in 47 games, if you're wondering. Molina with 2. And Trevor Cahill gets the call for Arizona.
You see a very good ERA under 3, 3-5 record. His second season with the Diamondbacks, 5th in the majors. He was with the A's before. 53 wins before turning 25. That's the most by a right-handed pitcher from 2000 to 2012. And he has won as many as 18 games. That was with the A's.
That pitch lined sharply past the shortstop, Gregorius, and into center field. Carpenter reaches with a base hit. What else?
12-game hitting streak for Matt Carpenter. Cardinals have now 2 12-game hitting streaks on the line. Carpenter's and also David Freese. Right back up the middle. It's our first look at the very talented shortstop. DIDI was involved. He was a farmhand with Cincinnati, a 3-way trade. And he's come to Arizona, and he's very, very flashy. Big question was, could he hit? And he's proven that right now that he can, young shortstop.
Beltran had yesterday off. Hits from the left side. 12 home runs. He has driven in 34. And he drives this out to center. Pollock back with room and makes the catch in front of the track.
Mentioned Gregorius, the young shortstop, involved in a 3-way deal with Cincinnati, Cleveland, and Arizona. And just underneath his glove, he has tremendous speed and range. Of course, the Reds very happy with Zach Kozar. And that's how they got Sing-Chu Chu. So it's a very good trade for all 3. Trevor Bauer went from Arizona to Cleveland.
1 out, and here is Holliday. Showed you moments ago the 3 hits that he has against this right-hander, Trevor Cahill. All have been home runs.
3 for 9. But right now, Holliday in a little mini slump over his last 12.
Really a tough homestand with runners on as well. He struggled in that department, but yet you look at what Holliday has done this year. And when the bases are empty is when his numbers are hovering around 200 with runners on about 350.
30 RBIs. You know he's going to be a threat again. He'll probably end up over 100 again.
Anytime he does not come through, talk radio, internet boards, whatever the case may be, it just seems like Holliday turns into a whipping boy, and I'm sure part of that is because of the contract, if not all of it.
Well, with the big contract comes a lot of responsibility, but we've never seen Matt Holliday ever shy away from that responsibility. He's a stand-up guy. Every year he's been with the Cardinals, he's been an all-star.
That's taken low, and he draws a walk. Now what Cahill wants to do, put a man in scoring position for Alan Craig. The first bank, first take, and this is run differential. And the Cardinals at +50 on the road. Best road record in baseball. Diamondbacks +33. They're right behind St. Louis on that road mark. Diamondbacks have played well away from Bank One Ballpark. So here is Craig. Came in tied with Matt Carpenter, 8th overall in hits in the National League, and we know with runners in scoring position, he takes his game to a different level.
Absolutely. See his 38 RBIs, that leads the Cardinals, but the Cardinals got a bunch of guys, in the 20s in RBIs. They've really spread their RBIs around.
Inside to Craig. Getting close to 350 at home. With 2 outs and runners in scoring position, he's at 500, and this season overall 431 in this spot.
33 of his 38 RBIs come this way.
Up the middle, he's back at it again. Here comes Carpenter. Here comes a lead. Thank you, Alan Craig, as his numbers continue to climb with runners in scoring position. 1-0 Cardinals. Craig with 39 driven in.
Alan Craig was the best with a 400 average with runners in scoring position a year ago, and he missed an entire month. Just ended up with 92 RBIs. This should be his first 100 RBI season with good health. Right in the middle of the plate. And he hits it right up the middle, scoring Carpenter. Once again, Matt Carpenter among the league leaders in runs scored, as he really has become an outstanding leadoff man.
Plaza Tire Service replay. As a matter of fact, Carpenter came in 3rd in runs scored overall.
And a very nice ovation for Yadier Molina.
2nd in the batting race, 347. Gene Segura, the shortstop of Milwaukee, at 350. You've had over a day now to digest what took place with Molina. Overall, what do you think as you've had a chance to look at the replay, hear the comments of what took place with Yadi?
Well, even Yadi, all 3 of us yesterday thought that he was out at first, and Yadi thought he was out.
Hustling out of the box, and they turn 2, 6-4-3. We'll talk about it more when we come back, as Craig is slow to get up, breaking up the double play. take his position, trying to break up this double play. It's brought to you by Hyundai.
We know the Cardinal runners go in hard, but very clean. But sometimes you end up getting a knee in the face, or in this case, in the side of the head, and there was nothing malicious on the Willie Bloomquist's fault. Is just one of those things. Momentum carrying you towards first, you're sliding in towards left at second base, and contact can be made at times.
Here's Cody Ross, and a 1-0 lead for Lance Lynn and the Cardinals. Ross is hitting .270.
Diamondbacks traded outfielders Justin Upton and Chris Young, and so they signed Cody Ross as a free agent. As we said, they thought Adam Eaton was going to be their everyday center fielder, but he tore up his arm in spring training and then hurt it again in the rehab.
2 balls and 1 strike. So Ross, Bloomquist, and Gregorius here in the top of the second inning. Arizona with at least 10 hits in 6 of their past 8 games. It's popped up, and Yachty will give it a look. It's out of play.
I noticed before Lance Lynn took his first warm-up tosses, he walked down on the mound, and you see the dirt section. He started scuffing at that, just walking, and then at the bottom of that is his landing area. He's throwing a little bit across his body, and I kind of wonder if this is in an effort to keep himself from spinning off towards first.
Popped up again. Craig will give it a look, and again it's out of play.
Kind of trying to tell himself to stride towards home plate, and then when after he hits the ground, then he can spin and fall a little bit towards first base, but don't cut it off. And he gets in trouble when he really falls. So there's his landing area, and then he'll spin towards first. Before, he just shorten it up and spin.
There's a line drive and a base hit into left center field. The second single allowed by Lynn. So again, Al, you've had a chance to digest this. Yachty or Molina from yesterday afternoon?
Well, first of all you have to do is listen to what Yachty. He said, I thought it was going to be a clean base hit. Then he realized the shortstop dove for it, so then he turned on the afterburner. He was just frustrated with himself. See, he's not even that upset right there. You know, he slams the helmet down. He meant to hold on to it. He's walking here. Now he hears he's being ejected. He still doesn't look like he's upset. He starts to go back to the dugout. And then his brother gets it, and now he loses it. Once he did that, you know, you're ejected. Maybe you have a fine, but you're out of the game, but you wouldn't be under suspension. Once he turned and kind of started thinking about it and then got into the rage, eventually, according to the umpires, he...
Runner goes, throw to second, not even close. Well, that was a great pop-up slide by Cody Ross. Pops up into second base, right into an out, and then right over to the dugout. My goodness.
That wasn't even one of his good throws. Gets a jump off of Lance Lynn. He's got his head down, just going right there, and slides right into the tag. When you get thrown out that far, you better pop up and start running to the dugout.
So 1 out, and here's the 0-1 pitch.
I will say this too, Dan. I really thought that he might face a larger suspension predicated on how the umpires write up the report. But reading the papers, you know, they really said that, you know, said it in such a fashion. They said he had made contact, but the reports really had to have been very, very mild to get a 1-game suspension.
Here's a 1-2 pitch. Just misses as Lynn is trying to get his 3rd strikeout of the evening. Willie Bloomquist at the plate.
I remember a conversation with Dave Duncan the first year that Tony La Russa and Dave Duncan came to the Cardinals. And that was still when the umpires were under different umbrellas, the American League and the National League. And I asked Dave, what are the differences? He said in the National League, he said he thought the umpiring was better, but he said they do not allow you to have any kind of conversation. Where in the American League, he thought that some of them were not as good as the National Leaguers, but you could say your piece and you could talk to them. And the point he was making was this is a very emotional game, and sometimes your emotions get away with it, and felt at least in the American League you could talk to someone.
Back to Lynn. 2 away. Six is a serious number. Cardinals scores 6. You can score any size coffee, fountain or frozen drink for just 50 cents the next day at On the Run. While you're there, be sure to stop by their cafe for breakfast, biscuits, hot dogs, sandwiches, and more. Only at On the Run.
During my playing time, we understood the umpires had a very difficult time, and we all got along together. I mean, if you had an incident, it was pretty much forgotten. But then it seemed like there was a period of time where a lot of young umpires came in and were told by the veterans, don't take anything. You have to show that you're the boss right from day one. And that might have been a little of that yesterday with the young umpire.
It's fouled back. 1 ball, 1 strike. And too bad we can't find out his thoughts on this, because he did not comment on it. It went to the crew chief, meeting with the pool reporter, Tim Welke, and the young umpire, Clint Fagan.
And I mean, in fairness, we don't know if Mr. Fagan wanted to talk and was overruled by the crew chief. But I don't like that at all.
Me neither.
If you're man enough to do it, if you're man enough to throw somebody out, we'll be man enough to take a question from one reporter.
Ground ball to the right side. Carpenter ranging to his left, spinning, throwing, and Gregorius can fly, gets down the line for a base hit.
As I said, they knew that Gregorius was going to be a tremendous talent. They knew defensively he was ready for the big leagues. He had a lot of outstanding skills. You just saw one of them, his running speed. But they didn't know if he was going to hit. And in the early going, he's answered that with a better than 300 average. And maybe what's even more surprising, he already has 4 home runs.
Third base hit against Lynn. 8th place hitter, A.J. Pollock. Outfield is straight away. The importance of Yadier Molina is monumental. Now he's become such a threat at the plate, but behind the plate, looking at his numbers coming into play tonight, of all the pitches thrown by anybody in the Cardinals staff, he's been behind the plate for 92% of them. I mean, think about how many plays, Al, he's involved in. Not just what he does at the plate, second in the league in hitting, but you're talking about a young staff, young pitchers coming out of the bullpen. And Mike Matheny will tell you he knows this league better than anybody, and the thought process of what he does with every single pitch. That's 92% he's a part of.
Yeah, it's just, we talked about that 16-inning game in Arizona. He caught all 16 innings.
And there's the strikeout of A.J. Pollock, number 3 tonight for Lance Lynn. 1 will be your home for great live sports. All the news and highlights you want, and shows, specials that only Fox could bring you. It's coming August 17th. Al Raboski, the Mad Hungarian, Dan McLaughlin with you. Fox Sports Midwest as we move to the home half of the second, and the Cardinals have a lead of 1-0. RBI for Alan Craig, a single up the middle to bring in Carpenter. There's David Freese, who has a 12-game hitting streak on the line.
That ties David's highest hitting streak, 12 games.
During this streak, he's hit .357, 3 home runs, including a 2-run shot yesterday, 13 driven in.
And Matt Carpenter's base hit tied his career high hitting streak of 12.
First month or so, David hit .209. First 27 games, barely above 200, and since that time, he's been on a tear.
Remember, he was no home runs and only 4 RBIs.
You hear that round of applause. One of our fans was hit by a foul ball not too far away from us. Didn't look good. Players were watching. And certainly the fans in the sections surrounding this lady were concerned, and they're now tending to her. At least she's moving a little bit and looks a little better. Now it's easy to say that from up here, but let's hope she's all right.
Elderly lady too is part of the problem. And
three and 2 on David Freese. And that's taken high. Second walk issued by Trevor Cahill.
Talking with Kirk Gibson, and he's talking to really paying a huge compliment to the Cardinal pitchers. But one of the things that he was much aware of is how few walks and few home runs the Cardinal pitchers are allowing. And of course, he's in a much more explosive ballpark.
Really just flies and jumps out of there, especially when they open up the panels. As Jay lines it to second, caught by Bloomquist. It was off the end of the bat. Freese back into the bag at first. In steps Pete KOZMA.
Cardinals have committed the fewest errors in the National League, and Arizona has committed a few more than normal. They're usually a very, very good defensive ball club. Cardinals have 19. The Diamondbacks only 21.
Cardinals really getting the attention of others around Major League Baseball, as you mentioned, because of this pitching that they've had. As Alan Craig being tended to, I'm sure, by the medical team after taking a knee to the face, breaking up a double play, as Pete hits a fly ball out to right. Catch is made by the Gold Glover Parra, who has 6 outfield assists.
He dropped that ball, but correctly, first base umpire paying attention, and that's Dana DeMuth, the crew chief, saw that he reached in to extract the ball. That constitutes a catch. That's not a catch until right now you see him reach in. And even though he dropped the ball, and by the way, he has 3 errors already, the Gold Glover last year, but if you reach in trying to extract that ball, that constitutes a catch even if you drop it.
Here is Lance Lynn. Wainwright, no walks, 7 times in 12 starts. Then you had Shelby Miller over the weekend. He's now at 21 consecutive scoreless innings at home. And overall, his ERA has dropped to 1.82. We were going to tell folks in June that Mott is out, Procal's out, Carpenter, Chris Carpenter's out, Westbrook is out.
Garcia.
Garcia's done. Many would have thought this is a lost season for St. Louis. Instead, they're on pace for 109 wins.
And the fact that we've dipped down in the minor leagues and did it with homegrown players have come up to replace those irreplaceable guys. Westbrook is going to go out on a rehab tomorrow to pitch for Springfield.
With the exception of David Freese and Carlos Beltran, along with Holliday, everybody else is a homegrown product in this lineup. As LYNN hits it there past Goldschmidt, and on his way to third, it's David Freese. Again, Parra bobbled it just a bit, and it's runners at the corners for Matt Carpenter.
Lance Lynn 1 for 18 this season, only his 5th career hit. And the theme this year has been 2 out base hits. Wainwright's loving it. Then you say, remember to stop.
Matt Carpenter with a base hit up the middle. Run scored in the first.
How often has the Cardinals gotten a 2-out base hit to drive in a run?
Pitch is taken high. We are 6 weeks away from the All-Star break. I'm not saying he is, but he's in the conversation, and that's Matt Carpenter. And if he's not in that conversation, he should be. Just some of the numbers here for you. On base percentage 400, 27 walks, 21 multi-hit games, 5th in the league. He's 3rd in runs and doubles overall, and came in 8th overall in hits. And that's taken low. 3-0 on Matt Carpenter.
Matt's learning the second base position in the offseason. He's committed 4 errors this year, but only 1 of them at second base, where he plays normally every night.
Talked about it many times, but not afraid to hit deep into counts. He told me that's what he prefers. And right now he's ahead 3 balls and 1 strike, and can be very selective with Beltran on deck. Carpenter, a high fly ball lifted into right. Parra under it, makes the catch, and the Cardinals strand 2. They've left 3 on after 2, and they lead it 1-0. Midwest is brought to you by Schnucks, your neighborhood hometown grocer. And the Chipotle Chicken Club combo back for a limited time in Jack in the Box. Try one today with fries and a drink, just $4.99 plus tax. Diamondbacks and Cardinals, 3 hits aside. St. Louis with the 1-run lead. One of those 3 hits off the bat of unlikely source, LYNN. First hit in 5 games for Lance, as he has 2 hits on the year. Arizona will send Cahill, Parra, and Prado to the plate. Lynn has already struck out 3, no walks.
Almost a 3-to-1 ratio. Walks to strikeouts this year for Lance Lynn. But he probably wishes he struck out fewer than his 25 in 70 innings of work.
Trevor Cahill at the plate. This being his 2nd season with the Diamondbacks after 6 years with the A's.
One year he was in the top 10 in the Cy Young with an 18-8 record.
Former All-Star, that was in 2010. Here's the 0-2. Michael Wacha will make the start tomorrow night for St. Louis. Was to be determined in Game 3. Joe Kelly will get the call for St. Louis on Wednesday. And there's the strikeout, number 4. Shelby Miller will go in the finale of this series. So that saves Wainwright for Friday in Cincinnati. MLB.TV, celebrating 11 years. Watching baseball on your favorite mobile devices. MLB.TV, where baseball is everywhere. Beautiful night here at Busch Stadium. Glad you're with us. First of 4 against Arizona. Top of the lineup, and here is Parra. Singled up the middle first time up. Up the middle again. KOZMA to his left. Quickly over to Craig. 2 away. Cardinals have talked about KOZMA getting a little better to his left, and also it's really stood out for them how quickly he's able to make the exchange from the glove and the throw. Our Twitter poll, presented by AT&T, who is the most underrated player this season, as we take a look at Goldschmidt, Corbin, Gaddis, who has come out of nowhere for Atlanta, and then Matt Carpenter. Good question. Shall we be Homer's Al?
Why not? You pride yourself in admitting that you're a homer.
Why change tonight? I'll go with Carpenter.
Goldschmidt, everybody knew he was a budding superstar. We could have predicted Corbin would be 9-0 and the team would be 11-0 in his starts.
I would have to say, full disclosure, I'd probably go with Corbin.
Gaddis was a, if I'm not mistaken, real high draft pick. And then he actually walked away from the game for a couple of years and then got the bug again, and as you say, almost come out of nowhere. And he's been a real force and a very good story for Major League Baseball this year.
Goldschmidt is on deck. Martin Prado lines it into right field. Beltran right there puts it away. 1-2-3 inning for Lynn. That's 4 in a row. Carlos leads it off when we come back. saw Carlos park one in Big Mac Land. Earlier this season, try the new Egg White Delight McMuffin. Only 250 calories, only at McDonald's. Carlos Beltran leads it off for St. Louis. The sinker catches the corner.
Carlos 0 for 1, came in batting 300 overall, but 321 from the left side of the plate. It still amazes me that ball got away from the catcher, rolled towards out towards the diamond, and Cahill got the ball and threw it out.
Little tapper towards second base. Beltran running much better these days after the slow start with the broken toe. Spring training. And Beltran is lined out and now grounded out over 2.
Now when you try to pull an outside pitch, you just roll over on it, and if you're left-handed, you're going to just get a nice little easy soft grounder to the second baseman. Right-hander batter does it. He just rolls over to the shortstop instead of driving that ball to the opposite field.
Matt Holliday walked his first time up. Craig is on deck.
Kind of think that Cahill knows about those 3 home runs and really trying to pitch around Matt. The intent is not to let him beat you.
Outfield straight away, and there's a strike on the inside corner. 3-1 on Holliday.
Prior to that pitch, moved the center fielder over towards left. He was playing more into right center.
Full count.
I've seen a lot of times, Dan, where you're pitching around a guy and you might happen to get a strike or two, and then all of a sudden you think, well, okay, I'm going to slip the third one by him. Doesn't work.
Taken high and inside by Holliday, so it's another walk. 3 already in 3 innings of work for Cahill.
This was the first inning, though, that he retired the leadoff man.
Craig with a single up the middle. RBI total now at 39. Cahill came in with that sub 500 record with the ERA that's also under 3. Steven Strasburg is 3-5 with an ERA of 2.54. In danger of missing his next start, dealing with a lat issue. We're thankful it's not more.
Cahill is a ground ball pitcher, so he should have allowed few home runs, and he has only 4. Especially in that ballpark.
3-0. Bryce Harper is on the DL. The knee issue, so the Nationals, some injuries that they're dealing with over in the National League East. The favorites by most to win not just the East, but really the entire league, as you see the numbers this year for Alan Craig.
Davey Johnson said World Series or bust his final year, and he felt like winning the World Championship was the only thing that would be that should be tolerated.
Last year he said they should win at least the division, if not the pennant of the National League, and it's a full count on Craig.
You can see where Cahill's really digging around where Lance Lynn's landing area. These mounds are so much better today. The clay is so much better that you don't have the cave-ins. Or
Holliday running, and because of that, no double plays. Goldschmidt backhanded it. So Cahill trying to inch closer to 500, but Strasburg, the very good ERA, only 3 wins. Burnett, Shields, Cahill, Samardzija. He's in some pretty good company to be below 500, and the very good ERAs.
Hard to believe that A.J. Burnett would be 3-5 with the surging Pirates as well as they're playing. They've had a lot of comebacks, late heroics, and that may be part of the reason.
Here's Yadier Molina. Ground ball, and it's a base hit. The Raymond Holliday. Ross fires to the plate. It's in time. No, he's safe. On to second. Yadi's in there. 2-0 St. Louis. Not sure about you, Al. Looked like the throw had beaten Holliday, and I'm just not sure exactly where Montero was placed.
Well, I know the tag was not applied. Well, you can see it's the first base side. By the time he comes all the way over, it's a late tag. Holliday, good work by our home plate umpire. He was watching the lead feet, and the lead foot got to the base before the tag. Yadi takes advantage of it, the single RBI, and takes second on the throw.
So he's driven at 28.
There was a great example. Cody Ross made a nice throw. You know he's got a plus arm, particularly for a left fielder, and yet Oquendo's so aggressive. Felt like it was worth it sending somebody, especially with 2 outs, that it comes through once again.
0-2 on David Freese.
And I don't know how many catchers really want to hang in there and try to block the plate with your body, with Matt Holliday coming in. That's a force.
Wild pitch, and it's 1-2 as Yadi trots into third.
Well, he just slung that ball, and whether his cleat caught in that landing area or not, was way off the mark.
And I wouldn't say the mound is messed up or this infield or dirt from last week's rain, because we had 2 games on Saturday, another one yesterday, and no complaints.
Well, and you can see that it's just scratched on the surface, but you don't see any holes there.
1-2 pitch as Freese stays alive.
And sometimes in the olden days, you would get on the mound, there may have been 4, 5, 6 pitchers on it before you, and you were like trying to find a safe area through a minefield.
The hitting streaks both now at 12, with Carpenter early matching Freese, and David's trying to go to 13.
They both have tied their career marks.
The 2-2. Ooh. So again, a deep count. It's gone to full from 0-2.
See David just seeing the ball so much better. Pitches like that last one he would swing at.
And he swings at that one. Off the glove of the third baseman, Prado. Long throw to first, not in time. It's a 3-0 lead for the Cardinals. Freese ripped that baby down to third. Prado couldn't handle it. Birds on top, 3-0.
That was a rocket there. And just once again by the Cardinals with their 2-out base hits. Does he have a better option of going home with Yadi running or going to first? That would be something you would have to think. I think he made the right decision going to first, but something you would have to think about before that ball's even hit.
So Freese has extended hitting streak to 13, longest for the Cardinals this year. If you're wondering, the longest streak in the major leagues this season, Marco Scutaro had one of 19. Extends the inning to John Jay. Lined out to the second baseman, first time up. And showing bunt with 2 outs.
Kind of reminds me of Brett Butler, leadoff hitter for Atlanta Braves initially, and then later on Cleveland and the Dodgers. But he would wait and see. Usually if the third baseman had a bad at bat and he was a leadoff hitter the next inning, he would think that the third baseman was still thinking about a bad at bat and drop down a bunt. He was a very accomplished bunter. Here it might have been the fact that Prado's still thinking, I should have made that play, cost us a run. Maybe,
could be part of it.
Maybe.
Yeah. Rounds it slowly to second. And John Jay retired, but the Cardinals pick up 2 more. A 3-run lead for Lance Lynn as he heads back out.
Watch Okendo. This is with Yachty at the plate, and right before this pitch is being made, he yells something to Holliday. Is it, I'm going to send you on any base hit, get a bigger lead, whatever it was, it paid off. Not only do you get this run, but then you get the bonus run right afterward in the infield single by David Freese.
Paul Goldschmidt, Miguel Montero, Cody Ross, 3, 4, and 5 in the lineup for Kirk Gibson's club. And there's a strike from Lynn, who has struck out 4. Well, one thing about Lance Lynn, he gets a lot of runs in support of his cause, and best in the National League. That's late swing that is near the folks by the Cardinals dugout.
I wonder if Lance Lynn is like the quarterback who takes the offensive line out to dinner or buys them all a Rolex, whatever it is, because last year he got the most run support in the National League, and again this year. There's always somebody, and rarely is it the same starter 2 years in a row.
There's a fly ball out to right field. Beltran. And there's one away. Hyatt Regency St. Louis at the Arch, offering an incredible package. It includes overnight accommodations, tickets to a weekend home game, Louisville Slugger bat, and a $10 Brewhouse credit. Call today at 655-1234 or visit stlouisarch.hyatt.com. Mitchell Boggs working as a starter down in the minor leagues, and tonight 2 innings, 3 hits, no runs, no walks, a couple of the strikeouts. Mitchell had 38 pitches, 26 were strikes. Here's Miguel Montero.
I like that idea. Change your luck a little bit. Obviously still throwing the ball well, just bad results here at the big league level. And I think that's a way for the Cardinals to help him justify going down and maybe changing things a little bit. Cardinals also will have a, not that they ever wanted to trade Mitchell Boggs, but they understand maybe a change of scenery might be the best for him, and he does have some true value around the game of baseball.
His stats last year, he was arguably the best setup man in the game. Rounder to David Freese. He's also fielding the ball with more confidence as his bat has picked up. There's 2 outs. We're at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Al, Dan, Jim with you. Fox Sports Midwest, and the Cardinals with a 3-run lead. Here's Cody Ross, single to left center field, first time up. Right down the middle, 92 miles an hour and a strike.
I don't want to say this to give any advanced scouts any ideas, but why would anybody not look fastball off of Lance Lynn until 2 strikes?
Left center, Jay is there. Puts it away for the out. Ross 1 for 2. Rams head coach Jeff Fisher for the Jeff Fisher and Friends Celebrity Softball Game, June 9th. For details and more info, go to gatewaygrizzlies.com/tickets. Cincinnati is hosting Colorado tonight. They have a lead of 1-0. That's in the 7th inning. And again, we'll see the Reds Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from the great American Ballpark. That is a launching pad. Pete KOZMA leads it off and takes a ball. Be curious to see what kind of crowds the Reds will draw in this upcoming series. Two of the top teams, good rivalry. Their ball club playing very well at home. Best in baseball, their home record, as KOZMA is thrown out. Good play.
But, you know, we saw KOZMA drop down a suicide squeeze last homestand. And maybe we'll see more of that bunting. He doesn't get a hit this time, but it was a good bunt. Just happened to deaden right there, which worked to his advantage, and took a nice play by Montero to throw him out. Get that a little bit either way, down the third base line, down the first base line, and maybe he has a bunt hit.
Cardinals with a run in the first, 2 last inning. Lance Lynn with a base hit that was just inside the first base line. And he's 1 for 1 tonight. Quickly, no balls and 2 strikes. Atlanta has jumped out to a 6-1 lead over the Pirates. A.J. Burnett has allowed 3 home runs in that game. As Lynn puts it in play, he's hustling down the line. BLOOMQUIST retires him for out number 2. A.J. Burnett talked about how good he's been, but yet not above 500. First 12 starts, he allowed a total of 4 home runs, and he's given up 3 tonight. Matt Carpenter 1 for 2. Single up the middle, extending his hitting streak to 12 games. He also flied out to right with 2 runners on to end the bottom of the second.
Playing the pull in the infield. Very much straight away in the outfield. Maybe even a touch a little bit towards left. Prado way off the line at third base.
Matt Carpenter from TCU. Played all 4 years at TCU, and he's back at it again. This guy is something else. He'll try to go for 2. Ross's throw not in time. He slid for it. Mishandled the baseball just a bit. Carpenter, you don't have to worry about hustling. That's the last of your worries with that guy. And he's 2 for 3.
Talked about ground ball pitcher. That describes Cahill, and so it'll be a 2-seam fastball. A sinker grip, and see if he just gets it up a little bit. Always talk about when you have a sinker baller, you say you want to get him up. Well, it means you don't want to swing at the ball down, but if it gets the ball up, it doesn't have that same sinking action.
Now it's Beltran with 2 outs. Cardinals scoring their 3 runs. He scored 2 of the 3 with 2 outs. 1-0 pitch. Floats in for a ball. Beltran is lined out to center. Slowly hit ground ball to second. 0 for 2. He's destroyed the Diamondbacks. Putting on this Cardinals uniform. No one really talked about it yesterday. You would have loved to have used Beltran as a pinch hitter, but with Cruz being your only catcher, remember he came up in a key spot. You couldn't pinch hit for him. And Beltran delivers again. Throw by Parra. It is not in time. What a slide by Carpenter, avoiding the tag. Beltran makes it 4-0. 3 of the 4 have scored with 2 outs.
Mentioned Parra was a Gold Glove left fielder a year ago, and it looked like there was going to be a real bang-bang play at the plate. A very good throw. Look at the low trajectory there. 1 hops, and yet it's to the first base side. So Carpenter slides to the foul territory and just ahead of the tag, which was never applied. Reaches,
clearly
pulled it back.
Yep. Holliday up the middle. He needed a base hit. A single into center field. On base for the third time tonight. Pair of walks. Single up the middle. Extends the inning to Alan Craig.
And ho-hum, another 2-out rally.
The Cardinals, you look at Beltran and Craig and Molina and what these guys have done with runners in scoring position. Holliday, what really jumps out at you, because the Cardinals have pitched, which is probably first and foremost what you talk about, but 2-out RBIs are just killers for the opposition.
They really are. Cardinals most of the time are able to bear down with 2 outs and put the inning away, and yet the Cardinal hitters just seem like they become Supermen, as their averages with 2 outs, runners in scoring position, are off the charts. Alan Craig, 520. 18 RBIs with 2 outs, 5 doubles during that time.
Single to center field. Scoring Matt Carpenter in the first run of the game. Last time up with Holliday at first, he hit one sharply but backhanded by Goldschmidt. Runners at first and second. 2 outs, a 4-run lead for St. Louis.
This Cardinal lead holds, it would be Alan Craig's 12th game-winning RBI.
Run in the first, 2 in the third. Tacked on another one here in the fourth. 1-2 the count on Alan Craig.
I always thought Allen's a low ball hitter, and he's missing a couple super sinkers.
Beltran, by the way, came in second in the league. He stands at second base, 475 with runners in scoring position. Here's a 1-2. Jammed him. Craig will strand 2, but the Cardinals add to their lead. 2-out RBI. Beltran. He's driven in 35 this year. This is the third inning for St. Louis, and Matt Carpenter, the Avis replay, sliding in before the tag, and then here is Carpenter. 2 runs scored, bang bang plays at the plate in favor of St. Louis.
Twice Montero catching the ball on the infield side, puts a leg out there, but really no resistance, and The runner's just kind of kicking the leg away in late tags.
And Lynn has been given a 4-run lead.
Makes you think there, do you want your catchers to be more aggressive in blocking the plate, risk injury? You got the Buster Posey people saying, no, you got to make rules changes so the catchers don't get hurt. You got Mike Sochas, who was one of the toughest and maybe the toughest catcher to go through, says he likes it the way it is. And he took a lot of punishment as a catcher. A very good manager of the Angels. If you make the rules, I think you're going to have just as many injuries.
There's a liner and a base hit into right center field. Bloomquist is 1 for 2. What a great deal on Cardinals tickets. Fill up at Phillips 66. 8 gallons or more now until June 30th. Receive up to 50% off on a pair of tickets to a Cardinals home game. For more information, visit cardinals.com/Phillips66. Good friend Brad Juliet turns 38 tonight. Season ticket holder, never misses a game.
It's only the second game that Bloomquist is playing this year.
Fouled back off the bat of DIDI Gregorius. Infield hit first time up, and we saw his speed on display with that base hit.
He averaged a 271 average 5 years in the minor leagues as a hitter, and having good success right now with the 321, 4 home runs, 12 RBIs. I knew he was a good defensive player, tremendous speed. When we were out in Arizona for the start of the season, he was on the disabled list and wasn't far from returning, and Kurt Gibson was really looking forward to that.
Randall Delgado, former Atlanta Brave, getting loose, the right-hander. Braves are an interesting club. They're winning big tonight against Pittsburgh. They lead the National League East 34-22. Remember, they got off to the great start. Since that time, they've been playing .500 baseball.
They lost their 2 very talented left-handed relievers in the bullpen.
Here's a 1-2. Just missed inside. And you look at Dan Uggla, the Upton brothers. They are 2, 3, and 4 in strikeouts of the National League. And remember, they gave B.J. Upton $75 million this offseason, and Freddie Gonzalez addressed the situation as to whether or not they would send him down to the minor leagues. And he said it is a viable option at this point because he struggled so much. And Upton himself has even said it might be the best thing for me. Hayward has struggled, but talked about the catcher Geddes that has been fantastic for them. What do you think? Taking an eye, make sure you keep an eye on that runner at first, keep him close. Could be running on a 3-2.
Could be that. With the pitch in, it'd be a pickoff play.
And it's a swing and a miss, a strikeout, the first for Lynn since back in the 3rd.
Yachty a lot of times wants to throw behind a runner, especially on a strikeout, try to strike him out, throw him out at first.
He is the active leader in career pickoffs with 42, but he does not have any this year. I wonder if that's part by reputation, but also the great connection he had with Pujols.
Well, I think it's more that people, first thing a first base coach says, don't take too big a lead and come back right after the pitch is made. Don't be straying out there because he will pick you off. Steve Sax.
I know you had great respect for Steve Sax.
Well, I've had some fun times with Steve.
I wasn't talking about what he did between the white lines, Al. I know you enjoyed your time with Steve Sachs. Great respect.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You guys got along great.
And then we would talk about his motivation speeches and book he wrote.
Fly ball into right field. Beltran. Plenty of room and makes the catch.
Political aspirations.
Bloomquist back to the bag. What's on tap? Michael Wacha after his stellar debut. 7 innings, the 2 hits, the 1 earned run against Kansas City. What's on tap? It's game 2 of his major league career.
2 things. As you see Michael Wacha there, with it not being a better scoring opportunity, Cahill will hit for himself. Delgado will sit down. But remember, Steve Sachs had the throwing problem, and reminds me of when our buddy Pedro Guerrero was playing third base, and he wasn't very good over there at third and made some errors. Lasorda asked Pete, he goes, well, Pete, what are you thinking? What are you thinking about when the pitch is being made? Oh, I don't want the ball hit to me. He said, well, that's terrible. What else are you thinking about? I don't want to hit the Sachs either.
The problem is he probably wasn't making a joke. He meant it.
Well, I mean, that was during that period where it's hard to explain. You know, I mean, Sachs was a rookie of the year, good solid ball player, good offensive player, but he got into a phase where he just couldn't throw the ball to first base. And then the more that happens to you, the more you think about it, the worse it gets.
Ooh, where's that pitch?
Just a little outside. Maybe.
I say it every year. One of my favorite parts of that Jack Clark home run against the Dodgers is Pete Guerrero in left field slamming down his glove. I love it. There's your strikeout. Yep, there it is. Strikeout number 6 for Lance Lynn. 2 in the inning. Birds on top midway through 5. As we move to the home half of the 5th, Cahill, the sinker baller, and Lance Lynn. Trevor at 91, Lance at 94. Coming up on June 21st, it's the Budweiser Championship Beer Stein night. First 25,000 fans, 21 and over. Get the third Stein in the championship series, celebrating the Cardinals' first World Series win in 1926. Texas will be in town. That means Lance Berkman and the Texas Rangers for interleague play. Be fun to visit with Lance again, won't it?
I've been looking at his numbers recently, but he got off to a good start.
Very good start. And this was supposed to be a down year for Texas. Not so much. How about Houston? Houston with the sweep of the Angels.
And I think they
5 in a row they've won.
I was going to say they won the series the first time around too over the Angels. Houston has 20 wins now. Kansas City only has 23. Toronto 24. Those are the bottom in the American League. Miami only 16 wins. Milwaukee only 21. And the Dodgers only 23.
So the two LA teams spent so much money, hype, promise around those teams. And I wasn't in LA with UL. Don Mattingly was being talked about nationwide that this would be it for him, maybe after that Cardinals series in which St. Louis won 2 of 3, but he's still, I guess, hanging on by a thread, huh?
Oh, still very well respected, and injuries are part of the game.
Molina drives it out to deep left field. It is gone. Home run for Yadi. It gets out in the blink of an eye. Yadi with number 4. Lead up to 5.
His second RBI. He's up to 29 now. And that ball was just scorched. Didn't take long for that ball. That looked like the Matt Holliday home run in Arizona against Cahill earlier this year.
What do you think? They're going to try to get a curtain call on him?
I bet this fans are not happy about the 1-game suspension. So a great ovation for Yadi, obviously the favorite player. I don't think there's any doubt he's the fans' favorite player.
I'm not sure about you. I was shocked as David Freese digs in, and maybe it's naive on my part, but just how passionate, as David is retired, but just how passionate everybody was about the ejection of Molina. I knew people would be talking about it. It was the story of the game and really of the day, but it carried over to today. Everywhere I went, that's all anybody was talking about, and everybody had an opinion as to why and who's at fault. Who do you blame?
Well, first of all, you saw that sinker we talked about getting the ball up. That ball started around the letters and ended up just slightly below the belt instead of below the knees.
Jay with a fly ball out to left.
Well, I think also what may have shocked some people too was so strong the statements by Mike Matheny.
Once you heard Matheny, I think it kind of reinforced, if you were behind Yadi and Mike in the argument in their favor, once you heard Mike talk about it, because he rarely, if ever, is going to make those kind of statements on a negative situation. Normally it's a positive spin put on something, but he was very forceful about his comments and what he thought of the play.
And the overreaction of the young umpire, and Benji talking about, you know, he didn't have a feel for the game. But even Yadi said that, hey, I was out. I was just mad at myself and had nothing to do with the umpire calling me out because I was out. And even stated that when that ball left the bat, I didn't hustle out of the box because I thought it was a base hit to the outfield. Once he saw the shortstop dive for it, then he tried to turn on the afterburners, which don't burn too bright.
That's taken for a ball outside.
And Dan, remember, it was a very young umpire.
30, 31, I believe.
In the minor leagues, they have really cracked down. And once you throw a helmet or a bat or anything like that, you are automatically ejected. But as your point, and I take it, and it was a good point, that when you come to the big leagues, you have to remember the star power. You have to remember that there are situations, and as we talked about, that this is an emotional game, and sometimes you get a reaction. Maybe it's not what you want to see, but it happens.
Cut off by the third baseman, and he makes the play. That's Martin Prado. Yadier Molina back in the lineup tonight. RBI single in the third, and a solo shot after 5-run lead. Brought to you by Steel. Available exclusively at a servicing Steel dealer. Visit steeldealers.com. And by 5-Hour Energy Shots. Molina has given the Cardinals a 5-run lead. Lance Lynn only 4 hits allowed. St. Louis with 9. Just another ho-hum night here at the ballpark, Al?
That's right. I don't know if you saw it, Dan, but the Dodgers purchased the contract of their #1 Puig, but their #1, what would you say, prospect, a human defector, who just tore up spring training.
Maybe a last-ditch effort for them.
Yeah, I think so.
Carl Crawford, along with Matt Kemp, 2 outfielders dealing with leg issues.
Crawford was the latest to go down. That's why Puig would be purchased.
Here is Parra, top of the lineup for Lance Lynn to deal with. There's a line shot into right field. Beltran hustling over, cuts it off. And Parra, who can run, trots into second base. Leadoff double. Hey, I've got a happy birthday wish going out to a very special person. Big supporter of mine, Al. One of the few. She's also known as my mom. So
very good.
South St. Louis, brace yourself for Jane McLaughlin's 39th birthday again. Happy birthday, Mom, and I love you.
Lance Lynn, and congratulations to your mom on reaching 39 for the first time. But he's allowed 5 hits, 4 of them have been leadoff base hits, leadoff of the inning.
Interesting here. You test Beltran. Beltran makes the catch. Fires into third, and it's offline.
Saw Beltran when that ball was down the corner. It really was going to be a double for Parra the way he runs. But Beltran didn't throw it in. And he kind of got the feeling right there that he was kind of setting him up. And he knew he was going to run. And he was trying to get him lined to kind of deke him a little bit, but he was going to throw. That throw was just a little bit to the outfield side, and Parra would have beat it out either way.
RBI opportunity for Goldschmidt, who was called out on strikes and also flied out to right.
Leads the National League in RBIs with 46.
Third in home runs, or rather fourth in home runs, and fourth in average.
I was going to say he's in the top 5 of all 3 Silver Slugger categories.
You know, it's amazing. Miguel Cabrera is on pace right now, Al, and we're a third of the way through the season, to have 48 more RBIs than he had last year when he won the Triple Crown.
Triple Crown, yeah. And he still wouldn't break Hack Wilson's record, but he put a scare. Was that 187, something like that, for Hack Wilson?
Decades ago, and there have been so few Triple Crown winners, and then the following season, and it makes sense, those winners have not improved on their numbers. Cabrera, though, is trying to break that trend. The 2-1 pitch.
The last Triple Crown winner in the National League was 1937 when Ducky Medwick to the Cardinals.
Hack Wilson, 187 is the projected number for Cabrera. Hack Wilson, 191. That was set back in 1930.
I'm not mistaken, Hack Wilson was about 5'6".
That's correct.
I mean, he was just put together, right. Short, stocky, whatever you want to call it, but he was just, you know, the common denominator years and years ago, really up into the 60s, was home run hitters were really the wrist and forearms is where they got their power. This is the poster boy of the Diamondbacks, and he's a good one, both on and off the field.
And as you mentioned, though, it took a little bit for him to catch on the big league level, but he has shown power at all levels, and that's sharply hit. Nice play made by Craig. A run will score. Goldschmidt picks up the RBI. League leading 47. Arizona on the board here in the 6th inning. We turn to the AT&T Twitter poll, and who is the most underrated player this season? Matt Carpenter. What a surprise. Cardinal fans voting for Matt, 70%. But we like it, don't we, Al?
Well, I think Matt would take a little offense to it, because he'd like to say that, hey, I thought I showed everybody that I'm a pretty darn good ball player, and that was why, you know, they asked me to learn second base to get my bat in the lineup.
Watch out again. Those fans have been busy tonight. Couple of foul balls there. This time it's a bat. And that gentleman may eat it.
That looked like his first meal of the day. Bat throwing contest. As long as nobody gets hurt.
Here's what I don't get. Why does he have to give it back?
Well, a lot of times what they'll do is they give it back to the player, and I think they request. A lot of times the player wants that bat back, and they'll give them a new one that isn't all pine-tarred up, and you know, that's a little cleaner. Some ball players
let them keep the bat.
Very superstitious about their bats.
Now I get it.
That was a black one, and now he's had to use a blonde shade bat.
So if a guy's got a, you know, he's hit 10 home runs with it, something like that, I get it. But I don't think Montero has. He came in hitting 206.
Might have done himself a favor.
Right. Get him a new, some new lumber down there.
All right. So if he does something positive with this new lumber,
I'm upset.
It's all on you.
Yep. It's all on me, Al.
girls like it. All the pine tar.
Really?
They're all manhandling the bat.
This is where we get into trouble, Al, and it's time to focus on this 3-2 pitch. Oh, ring him up. Now it's on me.
There you go. It's on you.
It's on me.
He would have struck out with the old bat.
So it's a 2-out walk to Montero.
First walk to go with 6 strikeouts for Lynn tonight.
So Cody Ross with a single to left center field. He's also flied out to center. And that's hit out of play. Al, did you ever have a gamer, you know, a bat in which you allowed one of your hitters who was struggling? Maybe you offered him a little advice and said, here's the Mad Hungarian special for some good luck.
And I was be down in the bullpen. I wouldn't know if they used my bat or not. Chances are they would not have wanted it. It's probably too heavy for them. Four pitches. Sure like that third and fourth innings where we had 9 pitch innings.
And it's popped up. Long way to go for Beltran into foul territory. Makes the catch on the run. Nice play, Carlos. So the fan has that souvenir of the gentleman behind the dugout. There's a brand new bat. 5-1 St. Louis.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the St. Louis Cardinals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and description of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. Randall Delgado will take over for Cahill. As you mentioned earlier, Delgado previously had pitched for Atlanta. He was acquired with Martin Prado and a few others from the Braves. January 24th. That was in the Justin Upton and Chris Johnson. Called from AAA Reno on June 1st. He was a starter in starter in the minor leagues, went 1-4 with a 6.84 ERA. Last year with Atlanta, he was 4-9 with a 4.37.
1 ball and 1 strike to Lance Lynn.
One time Delgado was considered a big prospect in the Atlanta Braves organization. And it seemed like I remembered him throwing a lot harder than this.
1-2 on Lynn. It's been a while since the Cardinals have seen Mejica, Rosenthal, after getting so much work so many days in a row. The way baseball, such an odd game, you never know when, how, what you may do when you come to the ballpark, and those guys have been knocked out of the roles because we haven't had tight games.
Well, you know, I'll tell you when it was last. It was on Wednesday, and then we know what happened on Thursday when both Rosenthal and Mojica were not available. That was the Waka Major League debut, and Cardinals had the lead going into the 9th inning, and Mitchell Boggs' second pitch, a home run by Francoeur to tie it, and that was a tough game.
Carpenter, it's another base hit. 3 for 4 tonight. Bring in Carlos Beltran, part of our Klondike moment of glory. And Beltran wearing a Cardinals uniform early in the season, May. Not just once, but twice he went deep in this ball game, May 8th of 2012. And the numbers for Carlos Beltran pretty similar to a year ago. Slightly ahead his first season with the Cardinals. If you add the RBI in today, Carlos now with 35 driven in. At this point last season, he had 42. Beltran with 12 home runs. He had 15 this time last year. His average this season better, 300 the start of play. Now up to 301 compared to 287 51 games a year ago. Launches this one, right field line, stay fair, goodbye. Home run number 13. Is he on his way to another all-star appearance? The Cardinals' second home run tonight, and that one gets out quickly as well. And it's all St. Louis, 7-1.
His second and third RBIs tonight, and hold on, maybe your comparison will get even closer as this game goes along. But I think the one thing you'll notice this year is a little more time off for Carlos Beltran, hoping his second half will not be so much a dramatic drop-off.
Well, if you get into postseason play, it seems like it doesn't matter because historically and statistically, he's one of the great postseason players ever, even though he hasn't gotten to that World Series. But in his playoffs, man, has he been good.
The one playoff, he just destroyed Cardinal pitching that earned him the big contract with the Mets. That was when he was with Houston, and twice the Cardinals ended his season in postseason play. One of the reasons Carlos signed with the Cardinals was he wanted to get to postseason play and hopefully play in his first World Series. Came within one game of it last year. Didn't take long for this one to get out. His 13th home run of the year. A 2-run shot, his third RBIs of this game.
What a player, huh?
Oh, and as impressive as he's been throughout his career, he's even more outstanding as a human being.
Strikeout for Delgado, his first, or rather second overall, and number 2 in this inning. Brings in Craig, who got it all started back in the first inning. Just watching what Beltran has done. You're a third of the way through the season. An aging player. We all figure a young superstar will emerge from the minor leagues and Oscar Taveras. But I would think, Al, they have to be talking about scenarios in which you look at Beltran coming back. And clearly you would think his second half would have something to do with it. How does the body hold up? Where are the numbers at the end of the year? But who knows? Maybe he does come back.
He and his wife really have enjoyed their time in St. Louis. And if the Cardinals can't go to postseason play, you know, maybe you get that same scenario where he'll take less money to come here and be a tutor for Taveras. And Jason Mott had a nice little conversation with him about his contraption on his surgically repaired elbow, talking about the range of motion. This is Delgado's first appearance of the year. Now the catch-22, you have keep on having bigger years, got more suitors.
I would agree. I would think that people, front offices in baseball, if they feel they're on the cusp of winning, you have to think about adding a Carlos Beltran. Why not?
Well, and Mike Matheny's done a very good job of a lot of the older ball players, and he did this himself, but he's talking about for the benefit of the team, I want some of the older guys to be great tutors and even help out guys that are going to replace you.
That is a fair ball and off the glove of Martin Prado. Craig trots in to second base. Standing up, it's a double. Alan Craig with his second base hit tonight.
Right down the line, dives for it, just goes off the webbing. And you can see another ball, just uses his hands to clear his hips, keep that ball. His hands inside the ball and really was able to use his hips and his hands to pull that one down the line and keep it fair. Mike Matheny was a young player, and he was tutoring the uneven, excuse me, not a young player, but he was still a productive player. But he knew there was a young guy named Yadier Molina that was coming up, and he was asked to help teach him the final nuances of the game. Eventually Yadi replaced Mike. He went to San Francisco, and I think Mike did it the right way. He said, I could be a jerk like some of the guys I saw on the way up, or I could do it the right way and be a good teammate and teacher. And he's challenged a lot of the veteran players to do the same thing, knowing that some of the guys you're teaching are going to replace you in the future.
One ball and one strike. Molina homered. Line drive shot over the wall and left. RBI single back in the third and bounced into a double play. Good to see that Alan Craig was not shook up on that double play. You may remember. Knee hit him in the head trying to break it up back in the first. Stayed in the game. Little flare down the right field line and out of play. Take a look at the in-game box score. 12 hits. Even Lance Lynn has gotten into the action. 7 and 8 in this lineup. Hitless 0 for 6, but everybody else has done a little damage. 3 RBIs tonight for Beltran. He's jumped up to 37 on the year. Big gap in left center field. The 1-2. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Two-two pitch out in front. Bronson Arroyo, 8 strong innings for Cincinnati tonight. They win over Colorado 3-0. Just thinking of that shot of Yadier Molina and Jason Mott embracing after the 2011 World Series. You know it's got to be killing Mott not to be able to pitch. Surgery done for the year.
What helps out is the way Mojica has filled in for him and has been perfect as a closer. That kind of helps the healing process a little bit, knowing that team can fill the void.
Ground ball left side. Taken by Martin Prado. Carlos Beltran launching one into the seats in right field. His 13th home run. RBI total up to 37. He's in the top 5 in that spot. About hit Arizona 12-5. Take a look at our whiff package tonight, presented by Head & Shoulders. And Lance Lynn has been racking up these strikeouts all season long.
He's gotten a lot of hitters to expand the zone. They're taking some pitches down the middle. You see an awful lot of fastballs that let them either take or come up empty. 6 strikeouts, just 1 walk. About 1 run, 5 hits through 6 innings of work. Bullpen is active. Got Randy Schote, Seth Maness behind Lance Lynn.
Lynn has now struck out 76 and only trails Adam Wainwright in the strikeout department among the staff here in St. Louis.
I mentioned he's thrown 96 pitches, but he's so big and strong, nobody really puts that century mark really does not mean much to Lance Lynn. And you would think that if he finishes this inning, would be say, okay, your work's done. You got some guys in the bullpen need some more work. Unfortunately, it's our 8th inning and our closer.
Jay makes the catch. Remember Fernando Salas. It's a shot you don't normally see with Salas in the dugout, not in the bullpen. but Salas has been injured. And right now the bullpen has been very good for the Cardinals.
You see a pitch really right down the middle, and Bloomquist got underneath it. Mentioned Willie only playing in his second game because of injuries. Bloomquist might want that pitch back when he's really at game ready speed. Phil's gotten off to a good start offensively.
DIDI Gregorius outside, 1 ball and 1 strike. Spent the day at Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Eastern Missouri today, Al.
Great organization.
Oh man, did they do some neat stuff. Swung on and missed, and right now they're helping out 1,900 kids, but have a waiting list of 1,200, of which 80% they're looking for what they call bigs, looking for males. You certainly could help them out, and we hope to in the future have a special night here at the ballpark for Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Eastern Missouri. Head to their website, donate your time. It's a very small commitment, but you get a lot out of it. Fly ball out to right, and Beltran puts it away for out number 2. June 22nd, promotion for your pets, Purina Pet Food Bowl Mat. 25,000 fans 16 and older receive a Cardinals Food Bowl mat. Keep your furry friends feeding area nice and tidy. Purina Pet Food Bowl Mat, Saturday, June 22nd. Tickets available at Cardinals.com.
And I know our good friends at Schnucks have a very important campaign going on right now. And that's to help out the USO. This is the time of year we get a lot of troops coming through the airport, and look for your Schnucks dealers to help you out.
Lows never stop improving. Slow start for David Freese, but he has turned it on up to 364 during this 13-game hitting streak. And overall, Freese near that 260 mark. He's just below that at 259. That's more like David Freese. He also had a hit streak. We saw a long one back in 2011. That was in the postseason. And that's his second hit of the night. Freese has been on base 3 times.
second hit. He also walked. So 2 for 3 on the night. At average over 260 now at 265. Last year he hit 293. So it was on the climb. John Jay's had a tough homestand. Two for 21 on the homestand. Finally broke that over 19 with a hit yesterday. And 0 for 3 in this game.
One ball and one strike on Jay. Lined out to second, grounded out to second, flied out to left. Two and two. Over the weekend, we had Governor Nixon here, signed into law HB 68, declaring November as National Pancreatic Cancer Awareness Month. And the governor was in town also to look at some of the storm damage around the area. There's a ground ball, backhanded by Goldschmidt, out at second, back to first, and confusion. It was covering the bag, so Jay is safe.
Delgado did the right thing. You know, if you're the pitcher, when you got your first baseman involved, you're breaking towards first base. And if it need be, you're going to be over there at the bag. But once your first baseman retreats to the bag, get out of the way. Let him decide whether he needed to back off the plate or off the first base bag, made that play, or stretch out if he could have made it.
Governor Nixon now came over, signed the bill. And Justin Meyer of our staff saw his dad pass away from pancreatic cancer. So he was spearheading the effort. Really well done. So Cardinals are to be commended for their efforts in that regard.
Pancreatic cancer is one of those cancers that you're hearing more and more about. More and more frequent. One of the real nasty, painful.
Survival rate is very low.
Very low, but I do know a survivor of pancreatic cancer. My ear, nose, and throat doctor, Dr. Craig.
0-2 the count on KOZMA. Hits his spot. No argument from Pete. 0-2 pitch taken for his strike. Well, Cardinals have scored 6 tonight as Matt Adams will be the pinch hitter. So you can score any size coffee, fountain, or frozen drink for just 50 cents tomorrow. Mobile on the run.
Rosenthal throwing in the bullpen. He has not pitched since last Wednesday. Cardinals' outstanding 8th inning man. And Mojica the same. You know, it's going to happen at times, and Charles Nagy, pitching coach, will have to talk to Delgado about the power of Adams. Matt is 5 for 12 as a pinch hitter. He's hit in 7 of his 12 starts this year with 5 multi-hit games. Remember, in early April, he had 3 straight home run games. So he has a .322 batting average with 3 home runs and 12 RBIs. And he lost time a couple weeks on the disabled list with the oblique.
But these are the kind of bats that you were talking about with Rick that keep bench players sharp. Some way, somehow, you have a 6-run lead, so take all the BP you want, but live action, nothing can replace that.
Well, the fact that he got at least 3 starts in those 4 games with Kansas City, and he's talking about how he feels now that he has a fighting chance. He didn't like that call, but we haven't said Angel Hernandez's name all night, so Angel always gets his name mentioned. He sees things that other people don't.
Tell us how you really feel, Al.
I like Angel. I used to go to a banquet, Joe DiMaggio Children's Hospital down in Fort Lauderdale, and see Angel there frequently.
I know he's raised a lot of money for special needs kids down in Florida, so
just sometimes when he has his day job and night job that he sees things other people don't see, like ball off the wall when everybody else sees it's a home run.
Nearly off the bag. Gregorius makes the play. Adams thrown out. He was playing towards the bag. Hidden at it back. We played 7. Cardinals on top by 6 runs. Rosenthal coming in. Midwest. Let's go to our studio with the Cardinals leading 7-1. Jim Hayes standing by. All right, Jim, thank you. It's Rosenthal into the game. It's our Chevy call to the pen. Trevor, haven't seen him since Tuesday, so you wonder how hard he's going to throw tonight, having a little rest now.
Yeah, I was thinking it was a week ago Wednesday, but no, it was the last game of the 2-game set in Kansas City, and then Mojica was Wednesday here, first game of the Kansas City series.
Sometimes you see these guys that are used so much like Trevor was and then get that time off, and look at it 2 ways. Lack of command. Other times they come back firing harder than they were, back to maybe where they started at the beginning of the season.
Well, I think that when you have a guy that throws as hard as Trevor, you know, he builds velocity as the season goes along. But when you have a pitch for 6 days, you worry about executing your location.
And he agrees with you, Al, in the fact that he's told me before he felt he didn't even hit his stride till as a starter 5th or 6th inning. One of those guys that plays catch every day, long toss.
You have to. You know, that's the most important thing for a pitcher. Stretch out your arm.
And that's a base hit as Hinske, who has been so good off the bench, trot into second base. He has turned into one of the top pinch hitters this season. He's now 8 for 31 with 5 RBIs. Look at that. They called him out on that play when the pitcher made the play.
And the pitcher caught the ball. And here Delgado kind of got in the way of Goldschmidt. And neither one of them caught that one. But no advancement.
Here's Parra, top of the lineup. The fastball at 96 taken high.
And just got this breaking news. West Alton residents ordered to evacuate after the levee breach near Highway 67 and Lincoln Shields access road. And with more rain due this week, a lot of these floods, be careful. Standing water may look like a couple inches, but you never know. And all the rivers around here are either above cresting stage. I think I was here in one of them. It was like 12 feet above the crest.
Two balls, one strike on Parra. Cardinals have won 11 series in a row. Chance for win number 38 tonight. Last time they won 100 games in a season, it was back-to-back seasons, 2004 and 2005, and yet the lesser of the 3 teams, 04, 05, 06, wins the World Series.
06 was nowhere near as good as that 04 team. In my mind, that was the best team, 105 wins that year. And then they just never got on track at the World Series against Boston, got swept.
A 2-2 pitch, and he blew it by him at 97. I was thinking about a time in which an umpire ejected a player the worst possible time, and it must just have been an awful conversation. And Jim Edmonds must have said the worst things you can possibly say, because remember, he was ejected in a key spot in the game against Houston, 2005. J-Rod had the pinch hit for him and hit it to deep center.
I do remember what you're talking about now.
Flew out, and here's a ground ball that is hit to the right side. If you're an umpire, Al, I would just, it had to be the worst things he's ever heard for him to eject Edmonds at that point in a game, in a season, what's on the line.
You would like to think that umpires would have, you know, take in game situations into consideration. And I guess we could ask Jim Edmonds next time he's on post game.
No doubt.
I'm sure we will bleep it out, whatever he says, but
give us the family version, or just tell us it wasn't very nice, which I'm sure it wasn't. But you know, at that time in the game, just hard to believe he would do that. Remember how Jimmy would talk with an umpire, head down, in the box, you know, digging at the dirt.
Professional way.
Yep.
Nobody knows other than the two combatants that there is a conversation going on. But
and that catcher,
when you turn around and, you know, get face to face with an umpire, then they feel that you're showing them up, and sometimes it doesn't matter, because, you know, Mike Matheny didn't say anything, any colorful words.
You wouldn't think. A high fly ball out to center. Jay coming on and makes the catch. Scoreless inning for Trevor Rosenthal. Sure sign of a good time. Here we go. And by Ford, the official cars and trucks of the St. Louis Cardinals. Also, my nephew celebrating his 12th birthday today, Al, as you had the chance to meet Sean McLaughlin. Not quite as big as Papa.
I met Sean many a year, but boy, he's grown up.
He has. Anybody that knows my brother Kevin, you understand what I'm talking about. He is a man that would manhandle just about anybody.
And of course, we should say, as we look at Willie Harris, who's appearing for the 9th time, he's thrown 4 straight scoreless outings.
He's 6'6" and a half. He played offensive line at Boston College. He was a pretty good athlete. So
flag football, right?
Not quite.
Oh.
I've seen him get out of bed in the morning. I know it definitely wasn't flag football. Matt Carpenter, red hot. One ball and 1 strike. Carpenter tonight with a single up the middle. 3 runs scored, 3 hits.
Carpenter's average up to 321.
The other Carpenter, Chris Carpenter, threw 2 hitters today. Not necessarily in his mind a live situation. He said guys mostly were kind of just stepping in and out of the box just to get a feel of a hitter in there, but threw about 40 pitches. He'll do that again, and they're looking at a rehab assignment fairly soon, and Jake Westbrook will make a rehab assignment tomorrow. Here's Chris Carpenter.
Look at the audience he has. As it appears more and more likely that Carpenter will pitch at the major league level this year.
Here's a broken bat hit to first. So the question, Al, I think at this point, where does he fit in your mind?
Well, I think what you do is you train him as a starter. You see how the wear and tear, can he throw 100 pitches? Your idea is first you try to have him throw and train as a starter. And he's, in his mind, he's like right before he goes to spring training. That's where he's at. And he understands that he's going to need 4 or 5 starts in the minor leagues. And two, there's no pressure on him to feel like he has to come back early the way the starters are performing. So he can just take his time, and when he comes back, you know, you'll see where the greatest need is. Is it in the bullpen? Are we down a starter? You know, it's hard to think of him, you know, if he's in the bullpen being a long man. You know, because you would think that the great competitor he is, that, you know, he's either going to be at the end of a ball game or he's going to be in the rotation. But, you know, you've got Mojica doing so well, Rosenthal in the 8th. You know, maybe he's the missing 7th inning guy. Maybe you come back and you've got some of the young kids get, you know, maybe their innings start catching up with them, and you need another starter.
Tough play. Gregorius can't get it out of the glove, and Beltran, I mentioned it earlier, running well, picks up an infield base hit to go along with his home run tonight and a single and RBI back in the 4th.
So 3 for 5 for Carlos Beltran. And high bouncer over the mound, the young shortstop. Gregorius comes in and just really couldn't find the handle and did the mature thing. A lot of times young pitchers or young infielders are going to throw that ball away. If you don't have the handle, just hold on to it. Sometimes it's better than putting the guy in scoring position.
Up the middle. Oh, nice plays. He steps on the bag and they turn 2.
How about that athleticism?
Wow. That's outstanding. 6-3 on the double play. One of this 4-game series, and let's take a look at Gregorius. Nifty play here, Al.
Boy, very athletic too. Range to your left, reach down, get to that ball, and then watch his athleticism as he's going by the bag. He touches it with his right leg, then brings the legs together to get his body under control to throw on to first base and complete the double play. So our Chevy call the bullpen. Edward Mujica will come in for the 25th time. He's been the Cardinals closer. 17 and 17 opportunities. He's been outstanding and filled in for the injured Mott. And then when Boggs couldn't handle the 9th inning, once they turned to Mujica, everything was restored and put the Cardinals with their first place lead and the best record in baseball. Yadi goes to first base, so Cruz will be back behind the plate, and Robinson is in left field. He had not pitched since last Wednesday, so he's in there for a tune-up.
When the outs come, they come quickly, don't they, with Edward Mujica out there? One pitch and one away.
Or was it, Dan, as we take a look at our Budweiser player of the game, none other than the starter, and boy, are they good. So many wins from the Cardinal rotation, and they set the tone. And Lance Lynn, 7 innings, 5 hits, just 1 run. He walked 1 and struck out 6. But if you said of the 17 saves that Mujica has, is 12 of them been a 1-2-3 inning.
Called the perfect save, if you will, the 1-2-3. I mentioned that since he's joined the Cardinals, 4 walks.
Just about every time he's gotten a win or a save, he's not eligible for either one. In this outing, this was just a tune-up, but he was acquired at the trade deadline a year ago, became the Cardinals' 7th inning man, and the formula was starters for 6, Mujica for the 7th, Boggs for the 8th, Mott the 9th, and it worked very well.
Since 2012, among starters only, Lance Lynn has a chance to pick up win number 25, which would be the most wins of any starting pitcher since 2012, and that includes Dickey. Gonzalez was a 21-game winner. Dickey, the winner of the Cy Young. Verlander. And those guys had 4 or 5 more starts than Lance Lynn, and yet Lance will be number 1.
And it'd be his combined, so he had 1 relief win. It would be his combined 26th win in the last 2 years, tops in the majors.
Cody Ross, 1 ball and 2 strikes here in the top of the 9th. And a ground ball hit to the right side. Mujica has recorded the first 2 outs. Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live coming up. Jim Hayes standing by with Rick Horton, and we hope you stay with us.
It's kind of a moot point now, Dan, but remember when Mujica hit 4 consecutive days, and he and Rosenthal were off. You know, they were not scheduled. They had the day off. The day before, Mujica threw 6 pitches, picking up his 17th save. And you just, you know, as a closer, I never wanted to be told I had an off day. You know, I knew when the manager wanted to give me an off day, but I never wanted to be in a position like he changed your mind, and it seemed like, you know, I'm sure Mujica was probably lobbying, saying, let me have that game.
Crowd of 38,042 tonight. Ground ball up the middle, And somehow it sneaks through. How did that get through? Mejica, KOZMA, Carpenter, all of them had a chance at it.
I mean, was not hit hard, right back over the mound. You know, Mejica might have been fooled by the lack of velocity. He tried to backhand it, might have even slowed it down. But then you think those two middle infielders got a shot at it. It gets by KOZMA, the shortstop, and then you go, okay, Carpenter's going to get it. He's backing it up, and it's scooted by him also. Extends the game to one more batter.
Gregorius in the first pitch. It's taken low is BLOOMQUIST, not awarded a stolen base.
Fielder's indifference.
One ball and one strike.
Going to have to work tonight. He's going to have to throw double-digit pitches.
Very reminiscent of Franklin when he was rolling at his best as the closer, when it was just very quick outs, not overpowering stuff. But
and Mejica has, you know, the trick pitch. It's his changeup. It looks like a fork ball, but it calls it a changeup. Where Frankie, you know, had a lot of different pitches, but you're right, he got a lot of weak outs very quickly.
Two balls and two strikes. This could do it. Fly ball. This will do it. Who wants it? And it's caught. Robinson takes it. The Cardinals take game one of the four-game series, 7-1.
Nice overall convincing victory. Great starting pitching, timely hitting, and good relief pitching, and another errorless game for the Redbirds.
Cardinals just rolling along. Beltran, 3 RBIs tonight. 7-1. Jim Hayes, Rick Horton standing by.